How's it going, and welcome back to the Indie Hour. My name is Ryan, and it's my job to bring you the most recent and best songs when it comes to the indie genre. There's something on my mind related to what I've kind of been talking about for the past month, related to some racial issues in this country. And I think we've seen a trend, I've noticed a trend, I should say, of companies and corporations making changes to, I don't know if seem more inclusive, I guess. What I'm specifically talking about is actions like Aunt Jemima removing their mascot, Family Guy and other cartoons having not using white voice actors for to portray people of color in their cartoons. And just this week, the biggest action we have seen has been the Washington Redskins and Cleveland Indians and plenty of other teams with American Native imagery wanting to change their name or mascot. I do think these are good gestures. In particular, that Redskins one is long overdue, if you ask me. If they do actually change it, that is. But it's not exactly what people are after when talking about changes. I mean, myself, along with millions of other people, did march and protest to have a food mascot taken away. There's a Malcolm X quote that I think sums up what these gestures are to a T, and he talked about how the white man will try to satisfy us with symbolic victories rather than economic equality, and justice. I think that nails it completely on the head. It's important to keep in mind the big changes I and many other people want to see, which is reforms that include areas such as police reform and educational reform. Above all else, having people of color have the same opportunities that I, a white person, have gotten and will get. So yeah, transitioning over to some music in kind of my effort to highlight some people of color within the indie scene, I found a really impressive artist called Sin-K. What's so impressive about his discography is how many different sounds he just excels with. I highly recommend checking out more of his stuff, besides the one song I linked in the playlist. Alrighty, this week was definitely the most interesting week I think I have covered on this show, because we had a lot of staples of the indie scene releasing smaller and shorter albums. I mean, nonetheless, we got some great music, but it's just interesting to me that all three big artists I will be talking about didn't really have full-length releases. So the first big one we got this week was Father John Misty, who released some covers on his Bandcamp. Bandcamp, for those who are unfamiliar with it, is a better way for independent and smaller artists to release music, making a bigger profit. For example, a lot of times albums may only be $5, but this is way more money than a smaller artist could make on a streaming platform like Spotify or Apple Music. Anyway, Father John Misty released a cover album called Anthem Plus 3, and probably my favorite cover off of it was Cat Stevens' Trouble. I feel that Father John Misty does a good job of covering it by slowing it down a little bit and exaggerating some parts to create this more dramatic effect. Since it's not on Spotify, I have linked to his Bandcamp in the description right next to the playlist. So moving on to the next big release, we got an album from one of my favorite experimental bands, Animal Collective. Don't let the song length discourage you from listening to it. I guarantee you it's 8 minutes of pure bliss. The song's, of course, called Rain in Cups, and I feel it does a good job of expressing what a rainy day might sound like. So, final big one we got that I want to talk about is from another fantastic artist known as Twin Peaks. They put out kind of a collaborative effort with some other artists, which you love to see in the indie scene because it just helps out everyone get more publicity. The song I included in the playlist is Any More Than You Want, and I really dug this one for some of its folk-like elements you hear. Really an awesome week for music if you ask me, and that is all I got for you this week. Please check out the rest of the playlist. As I said, it's down below in the description. If you liked the video, like, subscribe, comment, all that jazz. Thank you so much for watching and checking out my show. Yeah, you'll hear from me next week here on the Indie Hour.